Welcome back to AFTV, guys. Welcome to a live news show. It's 5 p.m. here in the UK, but I know that we get viewers from all around the world. So good morning, good evening, wherever it is around the world. Thanks for joining in. I'm here with Turkish. How you doing, Turkish?
All good, man.
We've got a lot to delve into.
Yeah, it's Monday.
Yeah, we've not said that for every show, but this one, some news has kind of popped up over the weekend. But today there were some interesting quotes that I think we want to go into, mainly because I know this has been a talking topic that, I'll be honest, I think you've held back from really attacking the way you want to, really going into, well, we'll just say it, the Vlahovic stuff.
Yeah.
Was it real? Was it not? What's the evidence to suggest either side? We're going to break that down. But before we do, we have completed a signing. And I know you and Robbie went into it in big detail. We're not going to do too much because there was a new show where you and Robbie got to talk about it. I'm going to be doing a breakdown with an expert in Brazilian football. That will be coming later this week.
Yeah.
And we've got Cecil who's doing a welcome video. So it's more than covered. But it is a player through the door. Look, I'm not expecting either of us to be like, yes, amazing, you know, top 4 guarantee next season, anything like that. But we have definitely added some real potential into the academy and maybe for the first team next season.
Yeah, we'll see. Not one to talk about right now. I think it's just one for the future. We'll see. We was happily surprised by Martinelli. Hopefully the same can be said for Marquinhos, but we know what we need this summer, and teenagers is not at the top of that list.
Sure. The Martinelli deal taught me a lot though, because I saw that signing and I thought, you know, okay, you know, that's great. I'm sure I'll see him play a couple Carabao Cup games in 2-3 years' time before we eventually sell him. But it really didn't go that way for him. He kind of came straight in, he impressed in pre-season. Suddenly he was scoring goals in the Cup and he was fighting for a place in the first team. So it taught me a lot. It taught me that, you know, not to just dismiss this Marquinhos deal. Not that we ever were, but not to think that maybe he can't have a part to play in the Europa League run next year or some of the early rounds of the Cup games. But I think when you listen to what people who have watched him play say, that the kind of take is he's expected to go out on loan somewhere where he can get first team minutes.
Yeah, I assume so. But at the same time, if we lose Nicolas Pepe, if we sell Nicolas Pepe, then I know we've been linked to a couple right wingers. Do I believe that? No. Only because of the names we've been linked to. It's just surprising that Rafinha and Bowen are 2 names we're linked to when we've got Saka on that side. And I'm all for competition. And, you know, a well-run team, a well-oiled machine can add those names into a side. But we've got gaping holes in the first team.
Yeah. And
the right wing is not one of those gaping holes. So Marquinhos might just be our backup right winger next season. Probably, if you ask me, do I think we're going to get Rafinha, Bowen or someone like that? Or are we going to go with him as our right winger, back up to Saka? I think we'll probably go with him. Yeah,
it's okay. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, when you look at the fact that I think that the story is that we could have got him on a free transfer, but we basically paid a courtesy fee to Sao Paulo. Now, a few people were critical of Edu, saying, wow, now you're paying for players you don't need to pay for. But I think the overarching point was he wants to build a relationship with Sao Paulo. We know they produce some really terrific young players. And I think there's an understanding of kind of we scratch your back, you scratch ours kind of thing. I don't know if that's the saying, but,
well,
you know.
Yeah, it's all good and well until later on in the window. We don't want to bid an extra 3 million for the one we all want, and then it goes down the pan. And then we're looking back at this one asking, oh, why did we give that away then? But it is what it is. 3 million, Sao Paulo, good links. It's good to have links in South America, first and foremost.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Arsenal haven't had good links anywhere for a long time. Hopefully it's another positive one like Martinelli was. But like I said, I just don't see this signing having an immediate impact in the way we need.
Yeah, fair enough. But he is through the door. Marquinhos has signed for reported about 3 million. Was it 3.5 million euros? I think that was it. So, he's coming from Sao Paulo, 19 years old. Again, there will be a proper welcome video from Cecil and a breakdown from me with a Brazilian expert, not me. I don't know enough, unfortunately, about the player or the signing. But I'm looking forward to learning a lot more. And I think the overarching points, there was a fee paid there. He is 19 years old. And I kind of think when you're 19, you should sort of be ready to contribute something if needed to. So I think he will be assessed, and I think he will go on the America tour. I do think we'll see him in Orlando and Baltimore as well. Of course, will be there as well. So yeah, I think we'll see. We'll learn a lot more about this one.
I think so, yeah.
Maybe when he's given his squad number, we'll learn a bit more.
Yeah.
It sounds silly. Sometimes little things like that just sort of tell you, like, okay, wow, they're giving a first team number.
It's true. I don't know. I'm pretty sure he's part of our plans for this season. Pretty sure.
Wow. Well, maybe we should be doing a bit more on him then. I don't know.
Yeah, well, what can you do? We don't know anything of him.
But we're going to find out, and we're going to bring it. That's
that's why you've got the Brazilian guy coming on. So.
Yeah. He's and he really knows his Brazilian football, so I'm looking forward to discussing that with him. Okay, other news today. Obviously, Vlahovic has come out with quotes saying that he never really knew of Arsenal's interest or a bid or anything, so we're going to read exactly what he said and go into that a little bit later. Leno is closing in on a move to Fulham, but there are other clubs involved, according to his agents. We'll read his quotes and figure out what's going on there. There's been a bid for Torreira, reportedly. Apparently, it's quite an insulting bid. So we'll have a little look at what's going on there. Guendouzi spoken on Saliba. It feels like even now we've agreed the permanent transfer, we're still hearing from Guendouzi. I don't think it's always making Arsenal fans particularly happy. And Raphinha and Bowen were linked over the weekend. I know Robbie covers all this in Transfer Daily, but I think it maybe gives us an indication of where our transfer strategy is going rather than where we thought it might be heading. So we'll discuss all that. Let's get into the Vlahovic stuff, because I know that we have talked a lot about this. I know you've mentioned it on the show. But I've tried to compile, not all the evidence, but a little bit of the evidence, just to remind ourselves of what happened in January. So, Arsenal obviously spent £150 million last summer, didn't get a striker, find themselves in a top four race that I think all of us were a little surprised to be in. In January, many journalists reported Arsenal's interest in Dusan Vlahovic. You know, from the best to the slightly less credible in the industry, everyone was saying this is a go. We heard it from English reporters, from the English press, we heard it out in Italy, we heard it kind of everywhere. Arsenal was supposedly pressing, but the story was that they're not really sure, they kind of need to be sold a project, but Arsenal are willing to pay the money up front, Juventus want him as well. Arteta comes out with a quote saying, we need to maximise every transfer window. He was very much alluding to, this was early in the window. Did he say 8th of January?
8th of January, yeah.
Right, so he was looking to absolutely push the point that when you've got opportunities, you've got to make the most of them, and it was an opportunity to strengthen our squad. Reports then suggest that Arsenal were willing to pay a £75 million fee. There was an issue with Fiorentina. It was about getting it sorted with the player. Arteta goes to the United States. We're wondering why. We know that he sees Stan Kroenke. I believe they went to, was it an NFL game together? I can't remember.
It was some sort of, sports game.
Yeah, they went to a sporting event together. But then obviously it appears he comes back with nothing. No signings were made. Then a report in the ESPN, on ESPN, sorry guys, long day, said that Arsenal senior figures believed that Vlahovic's camp actually used their interest as a smokescreen to negotiate a better deal with Juventus. So there were some murmurings that maybe the Arsenal interest wasn't as concrete as was being made out. Vlahovic gets his move to Juventus. Aubameyang leaves Arsenal. We don't bring in any other strikers. Arteta proceeds to say towards the end of the season, we did what we were allowed to do, obviously because a lot of the criticism came back towards what we did in that January window. So those are the facts.
Yep.
Where do you stand on it?
This ain't news to me.
No, I know it's not.
This is not news to me. I'm actually glad Vlahovic has come. Listen, first and foremost, I'm seeing a lot of people, insinuating that Vlahovic might be lying. But what benefit is there to Vlahovic?
So sorry to cut you. I didn't even read what he said. So Vlahovic, it emerged today in reports. He said about Arsenal's interest. He says, maybe my agent knows, but I never talked to anyone about it. Yeah. So he's basically saying Arsenal might have been interested. Yep, maybe my agent knows something about that, but I wasn't involved in any of that discussion or talks or anything.
He didn't know, and him insinuating that his agent might have known something is only off the back of that question being asked. The question was only asked because of how it was online with Arsenal fans. The question wasn't asked because we was really in for him, and the fact that he's come out and said, I didn't know about this interest. If anyone knew, maybe my agent, maybe you speak to him about it. But if you couple that up with Arteta saying we did what we was allowed to do, I keep saying read between the lines. I think you just said that's the facts. Well, it's not necessarily facts because people will still say you don't know what happened. But read between the lines. Surely that's the best way to form an opinion about what's happening if you don't know. If you don't have the facts presented in front of you, then take what you can as close to being factually correct as possible which is words out of the manager's mouth, which is words out of the player's mouth, and try and read between the lines. Also add to, if we had 70 million to spend in January and we couldn't buy a striker and we didn't want to panic, then what about the midfielder? You know, on one hand, you have Bruno Guimaraes signing for Newcastle and then throwing a bit of shade to us. And then you'll have a large section of Arsenal fans, especially on Twitter and online, saying we was never really in for him. Yeah. And now we have Vlahovic coming out and saying he didn't know about Arsenal's interest. And now them same fans will be saying he's lying. Which one is it?
Yeah. There were some journalists, I'm reading the comments as we go through, so worth pointing out, there were some that made the point that they weren't sure how concrete Arsenal's interest was. But there was definitely a narrative around January that Arsenal saw an opportunity and were trying to negotiate and bring their summer plans ahead. I remember that so clearly in January. There was this whole, you know, the Arsenal understand that this is a position they didn't expect to be in, and they want to bring their summer investments early so they can, you know, secure top four. I'm not making this up, right? That was definitely being thrown around. Well, I don't know.
It was fed by the same people that have the Arsenal fan base on strings every single window. Literally. It's fed from the club through to these, you know, journalists, and then it's fed to us fans. That's all. But
could it have been... because it's so hard, right? There's so many people involved in a deal, from Vlahovic to the agent to the two clubs involved. You know, that's 4 parties already. And then you've got anyone in and around it, whether it be journalists close to that club, journalists close to that player, journalists close to Arsenal, whatever it might be. Could it be that certain things don't progress like expected? So Arsenal were interested, Arsenal were considering it. The minute they were told he wasn't really interested in picking up Arsenal's calls and finding out what was going on, they just said, right, fine, well, don't worry about it then. Because that was a strange thing, was the whole Arsenal trying to convince him, Arsenal trying to push him, Arsenal waiting. But then there are other journalists who are saying, you know, this Arsenal thing feels like a little bit of a smokescreen. There was maybe other people using it as a smokescreen to basically negotiate the deal he wanted to get to Juventus. It was only 6 months earlier we saw when trying to sign Locatelli, we were supposedly offering the money. We were supposedly saying, here's what you want, can we have him please? And ultimately they agree terms that seem a lot worse than the ones we were offering, only to sell him to Juventus. So there are definitely...
If that's the case though, then that would mean we had 70 million.
No,
so then what happened to that supposed 70 million? And because we did nothing, surely that, you know, chucks that argument in the bin. Because if you had something off the back of a striker bid that didn't materialise, then surely you go give that something to someone else. The financial year in football, you know, if we spent in January, it resets come this summer.
Okay.
So now,
is that how it works?
Now the new summer's come. What's happened to that 70 million if people still believe this? What has happened to that 70 million? Has it gone back into the club? Is it part of the profit now? Is it in Stan Kroenke's pocket? If you believe we made that 70 million bid and Vlahovic is lying, or maybe it didn't go through to Vlahovic, then what happened to the 70? What happened? There is no...
I would assume it's still there.
It's not. It was never there.
You don't think so? Okay, so that's your take on it. That ultimately you don't think the money was ever there. You think this whole thing was just okay?
No, and surely the start of this. Okay, it's only started on Friday, people. Yes, but surely the lack of real progress with any of our top links so far should tell us that money is still somewhat of a problem. It's not like we're going for Mbappe and Haaland. We're going for Tielemans and Jesus.
Yeah, I thought the whole thing was very strange in that we reportedly had this money that we were happy to spend on a striker, but we kind of made this weird decision that if it wasn't Vlahovic for 70 million, then we didn't want anyone. Forget a striker, you know, or a midfielder, or any quality that we could add to just add depth, or anyone who could even come in and do a job. That's what convinces me that maybe you're right. Maybe the money was never there.
Sorry, as we're going, some fans that still don't get it seem to be posting some things in it. It's just a reminder. Someone here, Jabu, yeah, and I've heard this a lot on Twitter. So the Fiorentina owner also lied. Does the Fiorentina owner have something to make from lying about the situation? Yes. Am I right in saying that? Yes.
Yeah.
Does Vlahovic have something to make from lying about the situation? No. Vlahovic had nothing to... whether Vlahovic said yes, in fact, it would have been better for Vlahovic to actually come out and say Arsenal, they was interested, but I hanged up the phone straight away, because you know how viral that sort of shit goes.
Yeah, or to say I really wanted Juventus, and he's not had the best of times there, so just to kind of, if you want to win fans on side a little bit, but instead, I turned them down, I wanted to play for this great club. And
instead, he kind of dismissed it, he kind of pushed it away. He could have used it more for his advantage. So I don't see how people can say, so the Fiorentina owner lied. Well, owners lie. Owners want to ramp up the competition and the price tag for their player. Well,
we know the Leon president, Aulas, he's not... He's not afraid of...
notorious for it.
He is one of the biggest liars. But I respect it. I'm not even criticising for it. He's doing it to drum up the best price he can for his players. And
another one here, Ollie. Why are you going on about Vlahovic? It's in the past. So everything that happens in the past, we should forget about. Whether it was last week, 2 months ago, or whether it was at the most crucial point of the season last season, we should forget about it because it was in the past, yeah? Right? How stupid can people get? How can you forget about something that happened this calendar year that had a massive effect on the last season and the way we ended it? How can we forget that? Who are we helping forgetting that? We're helping these owners. You're not helping yourself. You're not helping Arsenal. We're not helping the club. We're only helping the owners continue doing this stuff by forget about it. It's in the past.
I think it's absolutely fair of fans to ask and demand that the team is always looked after and given the best chance of success. And when we're fed the narrative that is what the club wanted to do over January and nothing happens, and then all the evidence in the world comes out that actually the club didn't do what they could to secure top four this season, I think we've got every right to ask the question, well, why, and if so, what happened? And I think that's what we're doing today. More evidence came out from Vlahovic's quotes, and we're addressing them. Let's go through some super chats. The Zombie Fanatic says, guys, can you bring on Julian next AFTV Live? Absolutely. We've not seen Julian for a while, so we'll get him in. The comments section are, they're finding different... It's funny, because there's a lot of comments, some addressed to me, some addressed more generally about being naive, about being... I don't think... listen, it might be being naive, but I just think I'm just asking questions and just trying to... I don't get hung up on this kind of stuff as much, but I definitely want to know more about it. And I think the Vlahovic quotes, the first thing I did was message you this morning. And I've actually seen this. And you were like, yeah, bro, immediately. And obviously you tweeted about it. And I think... I find it more interesting, right? It doesn't get me sort of angry, but I do find it. I want to know. So what the hell happened? What did Arteta go to the US for? I'm not even saying this in a, what was he doing? What a waste of... I'm actually just curious. Like, what happened in the States? What was that about?
Maybe he wanted... Listen, he's on the 8th of January. If he's saying you need to maximise every window, and to add to that, he said you need to maximise every window because modern day football and the clubs you're competing with don't step off the gas. And Tottenham's January window kind of proved that. I think he must have went over there to speak to him about potential investment in January. What can we do?
I'd be very worried if Arteta... I don't think Arteta would have gone to Stan Kroenke and all the way to the States if he didn't feel there was a chance of him getting what he needed out of that meeting. Do you think? Or do you think it was a real plea?
No, I think he would. Listen, Arteta carries himself very professionally, let's say, and I think the best way to hash these things out is face to face, in person. Sometimes over the phone or messages, emails, or through middlemen. It's not the go face to face, eye to eye, have the conversation out. The only thing
I respect him for that then.
But the only thing that makes me doubt that is when it hits February and in the first few days Arteta comes out and says Edu's done a fantastic job. It's like,
but maybe again,
he's protecting Edu.
Maybe I'm playing devil's advocate here. In fact, I am. Maybe Edu did do a fantastic job, and what I mean by that is maybe he, in his mind, he's like, Edu negotiated a great price for a top striker. Edu had him ready to go. We just needed the money. Or Edu had listed these targets, but the funds weren't there to carry any of it through. I don't know. I don't actually think that's the story, because we've kind of found out that Fiorentina was supposedly happy to do the deal, but Vlahovic and his agent was supposedly not taking Arsenal's call. So it's a bit of a messy one. But I do think it's really interesting. I'll read the Vlahovic quote one more time. maybe my agent knows about Arsenal's offer, about Arsenal's offers added. So maybe my agent knows, but I never talked to anyone about it. So yeah, then it'd make you wonder if Vlahovic was never being spoken to about it, and Arsenal would have known that. Why did we persist so long? Because it did feel like it really was dragged out all of January. So
it was. Yeah. All the club had to do was come out and say, "Listen, we're not in for him." And I probably would have respected that a bit more than the club allow it to be dragged out so much.
It's a really weird one. And I think we are still feeling the pain of not getting in the top four. We can see that maybe some transfer targets and deals aren't going ahead as quickly as we'd like, because maybe there's that little bit more convincing to do, that little couple million put on the signing on fee and all that stuff, because we're not in the position of power we hoped we'd be with some of these negotiations. So yeah, I think kind of it's a bit of a domino effect, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Dave Jordan.
Oh, what's he got to say?
Turkish is an accountant now. Laughable.
I'm an accountant now. What part of my conversation has made me an accountant? Me saying what happened to the 70 mil that was rumoured. How does that make... You know what it is? This guy's been talking shit for months. He was probably sending in super chats in February saying, "Oh, Turkish, who do you think you are dismissing the Vlahovic claims? We did go for him. Romano said it. Wheatley said it. Watts said it. AFC, whatever said it." Dave, give it a rest, my guy. Put your credit card, debit card away. Yeah, forget the super chats for a little while. Come off YouTube for a bit and open your eyes, mate. Seriously, because every time I'm on this show and this guy sends in a super chat, it's some nonsense. James, what made me an accountant today?
Don't know.
I haven't even done no addition, no multiplication, no division. I don't know what's happening.
You mentioned numbers, maybe. Yeah, I look. If I'm honest, I think you're asking really fair questions, and it's why you're the first person I messaged.
When people have nothing else to say, they're going to talk shit. Welcome, Dave Jordan.
Thank you for the super chat, Dave.
Yeah, something like that.
Thank you for the support for the channel. But yeah, everyone's entitled to an opinion. Andrew's super chat says, when Man United and Tottenham sign a player, this is Andrew's opinion, says Fabrizio always tweets that we will sign Locatelli and Vlahovic. He knows what he's doing. He's playing with fans. In my opinion, having I've been in the world of journalism very shortly before coming to AFTV and all that, no one's tweeting or putting out, or a lot of people, certainly the big accounts, the ones I follow, they're not putting out information to mess with fans. They're putting out information they think is accurate. They've got a reputation to uphold. And sometimes they might just be fed the wrong information. I think in terms of transfers and rumours, I think the playing is done by the agents, and I think they're very clever with who they feed information to and what they feed and how they want to manipulate a certain situation.
100%.
I think they're very clever with that, and so that's why I try not to get onto reporters, because they're absolutely begged for information when they're tweeting about something else, and then when they give it and it might not be spot on. But I understand that at the same time, there's a degree of common sense to certain things. Sometimes you read a story and you go, come on, that can't be right because of this, that,
and surely you got to draw a line on it. If someone tells you something 3 times in a row and it turns out to be false, then surely the 4th time they're telling you, you need to maybe take a step back and,
It's such a I really don't like the transfer window. I used to love it. You go back a couple of years, I used to love it. Who are we going to sign? Reading rumours every day. Who are we linked to? I used to have all my pages where from rubbish links to the Sky Sports concrete ones to everything. I was engrossed in it all. I used to love deadline day. Now I'm just like, do you know what I loved? I loved when the transfer window ended before the season started. That was great. I was like, brilliant.
It should be that way.
All done. Let's just get on with the season. And that was the one time I felt we had a window where we actually got everything we needed. I know it didn't go great that season, but we got Tierney, we needed a left back. We got David Luiz, cool. You brought in some centre back depth. We brought in Pepe, we needed a right winger. Yeah. We brought in Martinelli, we brought in Saliba, sent him on loan. We brought in Ceballos on loan. I thought, oh my God, we're doing it. Never really happened. Benny says, for once Turkish, we're in full agreement. Money was never there to spend, and this was all lip service and clickbait from the media and parties involved.
It hurts. And I see a lot of people saying, Turkish was right, Turkish. I don't enjoy this. I don't enjoy this. And then I've got other people saying, who do you think you are when you're being asked to be proven wrong? I'm an Arsenal fan. So if I don't think you're doing something right, then surely I'm open to being proven wrong. But yet again, this club, if there's one moment of this whole past season that defines why I'm so upset with this club, it's that January window. And off the back of what we're talking about now with Arteta and Vlahovic's comments, it shows that, again, we was held back in January.
Yeah. Zirius says, if you realise that Vlahovic was all smoke and mirrors, why do you believe any of the current rumours? I'm going to answer this one because I remember last summer, David Ornstein, one of the first, reported that we wanted Ben White. And I think it was TalkSport, of all people, who reported that we wanted Aaron Ramsdale. My brain went, no. No. Because I thought, that Ben White was destined for better than Arsenal. I actually thought he would be picked up by United or Chelsea or someone like that, because he was really good for Brighton. And Ramsdale, I thought, really doesn't make any sense. No way. This will, again, be fed to get him a move to the Premier League or whatever it is. And they both happened. So I've sort of I try not to dismiss any rumour, while also being very open about the fact that, listen, this could be one of many things going on as to why we're seeing this name in the papers. But yeah,
it's a hit and miss. Obviously, I look at this. Look, in January, notoriously, we haven't been massive spenders.
Yeah.
And yes, there is some Januaries there. We've picked out some signings, but Jesus and Tielemans, that's who we've been strongly linked to this summer. Do I believe it? Yes, I think we're interested. But it's Jesus and Tielemans. It's not like it's, a player that the world is after, or a player that all big clubs are after. It's Jesus and Tielemans. So yes, I believe there's interest there, especially with a year left to go. I'm just thinking about it logically. I might be wrong. Maybe this is another smoke screen, but using Jesus and Tielemans as smoke screen, that'd be a new low for the club. At least with Vlahovic, it was Juventus and he was banging in Serie A. Now it's Jesus and Tielemans with a year left.
I like Jesus and Tielemans,
but they're not that. They're not that guy. Let's be honest here. At least when Vlahovic in January, it looked like he was that guy. It looked like he's one of the hottest properties, striker. He's got it all. Jesus and Tielemans, they're not that guy. Yes, they're going to be welcome additions if they do come, and yes, they improve the side 100%. But they are not that guy. Hence why Arsenal are even in the picture. If they was that guy, we wouldn't be in the picture.
Yeah. Super chat from James says, where do you guys stand? I've seen online fans panicking and others telling me to chill. I'm worried seeing Nunez, Haaland and Spurs sign players.
Serge Gnabry's that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, he is that guy.
Yeah.
I'm
Let's see how
relaxed.
close we get to that guy.
Yeah. I'm pretty relaxed about the summer so far. I'll stop being relaxed if we get to America and there's no new players in.
Yeah, when's that? About 4 weeks to go.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of comments asking, are we going to be in Orlando? Yes, we are going to be in Orlando, people. We are, me, James, Cecil, Robbie.
Supposedly, yeah, I think we are.
Yeah. We're there, man.
That would be good. Shress says, since last season, how Vlahovic, Locatelli and any other linked striker has declined. Arsenal WB statement? Sorry, I'm a bit confused. When Arsenal come knocking, now nobody opens. KSE liars, he says. I
agree with a lot of that, even though I didn't understand a lot of it, but KSE
I
liars.
think Shreth is basically saying, big up Shreth, always supporting the channel, always here for these news shows. I think Shreth is basically saying that
Locatelli, other link striker, declined AFC. That was statement when AFC came knocking. Yeah. I know he's upset. That's all I know. and I'm upset. So we're on the same page, Shress.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Linked strikers have declined AFC. Okay. I think essentially he's saying that he's basically saying for all the reported interest, it never gets as far as it's maybe made out that it is. From this bid might go in and they're convincing this player, and actually the player's gone, no, not interested. Dave Jordan says, Turkish right. Forget Jesus. We need 4-goal team. Oh, right. I thought he was on your side.
Again, taking something out of context to fit. Dave, actually keep the super chats coming, man. Put the credit card details onto YouTube. Just keep them coming, my guy. Anything else you want to say, just keep them flowing. Every 4 minutes, I want to see one from you.
I thought you two were agreeing. can't come back being like, no, I agree with him on this, but okay. Let's move on to the other bit of news. Okay, Vlahovic, we've covered that. Guys, I know a lot of you are wondering why we're talking about it. A lot of you are wondering, kind of why we're giving it the time. I just think because it is news, it is an update, it is giving fans clarity on that situation in January. Maybe not full clarity, but it's definitely
as much as you can
clearing my head a little bit about what went on. So yeah, let us know.
It should be clear in everyone's head how it went on. If it's not clear in your head how it went on, then no one can help you with the subject.
I'm in denial, Turkish.
The only step from here is Arsenal coming out and saying no, we wasn't in for him, because you've got Arteta's quotes, you've got Vlahovic's quotes. Read between the lines, people.
Well, H says Turkish was right all along.
It's not about being right. It's about other people opening their eyes.
People are saying people saying message again, Dave. Another saying, we love you, Dave. We do. Dave versus Turkish. Get Dave on AFTV. That'd be great.
Dave would be smoked. Some of the rubbish that guy comes out with, he would get smoked. Absolutely smoked. So if you want it, Dave, actually message me on Twitter or Instagram right now, 5:37 p.m. Message me right now. After this show, I'm going to go back around this time, see if you've messaged me. If you have messaged me and you're from the UK, let's sort this out. Me and you, let's have a debate.
Some people saying hashtag Team Dave. Right, let's go into the Bernd Leno news and just fly through these other last bits and bobs. Bernd Leno looks like he'll be going to Fulham. The news was broken by David Ornstein. The one guy, I will say, I try not to mention too many journalists' names too often, because I don't always want to be kind of pointing the finger when news doesn't go quite the way they say or whatever. But Ornstein's the one guy who's been spot on with Arsenal stuff recently in the last couple of years. And he's been breaking a lot of news like Ben White. And this is, at the forefront of it all, this Leno stuff again. Looks like he'll be going to Fulham.
He hinted that, the agent hinted that he could also stay as well, innit?
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Leno's agent said, for me personally, Bernd is the clear number one at Arsenal. With all due respect to the competitors, yes, Fulham is trying hard to get Bernd. Very professionally, he adds. This is also true for some other clubs and shows his status. He'll get a move. It's the reason we knew that from when Matt Turner was confirmed. Leno's going to be on his way. Interesting that he called him the clear number one at Arsenal. I think he's giving his opinion on who he thinks is the best keeper there, and back your client, and I get that. There might be some people actually agree and believe, because for what Ramsdale's brought to the team, I think there's areas of genuine shot stopping that I don't think are necessarily better than Leno's.
I've heard a good few people say Leno's still the better keeper, but majority have gone in favour of Ramsdale.
How would you? I know we'll do this kind of more when he leaves, but how would you kind of reflect on Leno and his time at Arsenal? I mean, I think there's an argument for him being the best keeper of the Emirates era. Chesney?
I like Chesney because he was one of our own, but forget Chesney. Almunia, oh my God. Check.
I think raw shot stopping and actually having those saves where you go, oh my God, he kept us in the game. Like, I think Leno had a lot of those moments.
Shot stopping, he had a good few saves that you're like, wow. I remember one against Tottenham.
That was
Sissoko.
The left
that
palm.
Was mad.
That was incredible.
Yeah, there's an argument there, but that argument tells us how dead the Emirates era has been. Sorry, Bernd Leno, because you're not, it was unfortunate for you, but yeah.
I like Leno.
I like Leno. I'm not against Leno. I'm just saying, if he's our best keeper in the last 15, 20 years, then that's why, we haven't achieved greatness.
Torreira, where's he going? Fiorentina, we've been discussing where they were with the whole Vlahovic stuff. He was on loan there, Torreira, for the whole of last season. Supposedly did really well. I think he racked up 3 Player of the Month awards, so he had a good time there. Apparently their opening bid was something like €7 million. I'm going to fact check this all, guys. It's a little bit of rumour there.
Yeah.
But in fact, while I get your take on it and Torreira, what we do with him, but what price are you taking for him? What do you think is an acceptable price for Arsenal to sell Torreira?
He's had a good season there. He was important to them. I think 15 million is... What's he got, 1 year left?
I'm not sure.
Must do. He came 2019.
I've incredibly unresearched for this section of the show.
I'd say 1 year, max 2, but regardless, I'm looking at 15 mil, 10 to 15 mil.
So yeah, according to a Fiorentina page, and What have we got here? Well, Fabrizio Romano said that his future is still to be decided. No, yeah, contract expires in June 2023, so he's got a year left. Fiorentina with the opening offer of €7 million. I mean, it's a pretty insulting offer.
Yeah, well, we insult ourselves with the business we do.
I agree.
Hence why Betis are trying to get us to cancel Bellerin's contract. Fiorentina are trying to halve what they agreed to a year ago after a good season from Torreira. Mm-hmm. They're taking the piss because we are there to be taken the piss out of. We've seen it before. This is a club that rejected the bid for Kieran Gibbs at, what was it, 13 mil at the beginning of a window, only to sell him to the same club for 10 mil at the end of the window. This club has done nonsense. You think it's only me that's noticing it, or you, or the fans? It's other clubs too.
No, that's the thing. Because our selling policy in the last couple of years has been to be ruthless and get them out at all costs. The all costs is related to no costs. And we're basically in a situation where we have just sort of said, yeah, have him. We don't care. As long as you pay his wages, take him. You take him. It's been about clearing the wage bill and starting fresh. Now, that serves an Arteta well, who wants the squad he wants and wants a wage structure the way it is so we can negotiate players coming in. But when people, this is why I get annoyed when people criticise us for being accountants and all that, just because we talk about money, we talk about the financial side of the game. Sales allow you to build off that. Look at Liverpool. A lot of the great work they were able to do was because they sold Suarez for 60 million, they sold Coutinho for 120 million, and they were able to reinvest that well. It wasn't their owner going, do you know what, 200 million, we love you, Klopp. Like, sure, there was some backing, sure, there was some support, but a lot of it was smart business, and that's why it matters. And when you're in Arsenal, and you can't just throw £100 million at Lukaku and then the season after go, we'll send him on loan because it hasn't worked, the sales do matter to a degree.
They matter a lot. Not even to a degree, they matter a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, this is why I've been banging on about Eddie being sold in the last couple of years, Maitland-Niles being sold in the last. Get Guendouzi for 9 million.
Well, that was the next bit.
If it makes me an accountant to know 9 million for Guendouzi is poor, then give me my honours now, because I'm definitely an accountant. I've got the degree.
4 years of business university done here.
It's just there, 9 million. I'm looking at him playing for France and next to Tchouameni, who's going for 80 million, and I'm just like, wow. And I'm not saying he's that level, because he's not. But what I'm saying is 9 million, 21, 22-year-old, not starting for France, but getting game time for France.
But we made a profit.
We haven't.
And I think we have. I think we've gone for 7.
Oh, fucking hell. Let's see if we can reinvest the 9 million like Klopp reinvested the Coutinho 140. That's the process.
That was what we needed. If that Guendouzi money had come in earlier, Vlahovic would be an Arsenal player.
Exactly. That 9 million could have really went somewhere.
I gotta say, it's a farce that he's going for that little. It's
crazy.
When
Marseille can sell him in 2 weeks for about 30 million, you know. Do you know that?
But you know what? You know what it is? There's kind of two schools of thought here, which is forget the money. Edu and Arteta just wanted to get rid of him. Now, he has said certain things, and I don't think we're going to delve into it. He said certain things over a short career, or done certain things. You know, like I didn't like the 2-1 to the Watford fans, and then we draw 2-2. You're thinking, come on.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't like some of his quotes. I didn't like the grabbing of mopeds or whatever. But I have stood by him in terms of his talent and said this guy's a supremely talented young midfielder. So there's that kind of battle between, you just want rid of him. Just send him somewhere where he can play and develop and do his thing, but we don't have to worry about him. But on the other hand, getting what you can for a real asset, a real exciting young player. And they obviously chose the former approach rather than try and keep him sweet till a better offer came along. But maybe that wasn't an option. Maybe it was about addressing the culture rather than addressing the finances. I don't know. Can you certify whether this is the real Big Steve?
Yeah, it looks like it. It looks all legit.
Steve. Says, don't sleep on Jesus. I'm telling you, play him regularly. He's some player.
Big up Steve, man. Steve's been letting me know, man. If we get Jesus, we've got a good player on our hands. And you know,
I'm really excited.
Given the more responsibility he'd have at Arsenal, maybe he does kick on. And maybe, like I said, I want him. He is an improvement on what we have. But when I'm saying, you know, we can't get that guy, it's facts.
I'm in probably a small camp of people who think we need a Jesus more than we needed a Vlahovic. And I don't mean, because I haven't watched a lot of Vlahovic. So if he is the killer in front of guy everyone says he is, or is going to be, then that's slightly different. But profile-wise, I really wanted to add players like Jesus to the forward line.
Yeah, I get that. We need probably 7-8 players. That's the reality.
Will Mackenzie says, thank you for Super Chat, prepared to be disappointed. KSC won't spend like they do in America. Not looking forward to the new season. Get me excited, Arsenal. Go check out the last Invincible podcast where they talk about what Kroenke's done with the Rams, the investment they've made there, the sheer ambition they've shown. You mentioned it yourself, I think, that he went and claimed the trophy when they won the Super Bowl. Yeah. And that's a level of pride and interest and ambition. I can't expect him to have that same for Arsenal. But then it goes back to the whole, well, why'd you sell us to someone who does have that? Or at least give the people who do have that ambition the resources to jump ahead. And I'm one of those who thinks in the last few years the resources have been provided to a degree. But obviously, when you look at what's happened since they sort of, owned the club, it's not been an upward trajectory.
It hasn't, and they haven't made it easy for themselves.
Chaitanya with a super chat says, forget signings. We haven't been able to extend Saka, Martinelli, Saliba. Our so-called project, shake my head. Yeah, I'd wait for that. I don't think that's going to be coming. I don't think those contract talks are going to be coming anytime soon. I think it'll be about what we do in this window and how Arsenal are looking in the first 10 to 15 games of the season before we start really understanding kind of where these players and their futures belong.
Where their heads at as well.
Big Steve put a comment back in as well saying... Third eye, he says third eye. I don't know if he's addressing someone called Third Eye, but he says he plays wide for us when central he bangs. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the point a lot of people have been missing, is that not only has he not really been a regular starter for City, well, he was towards the end of last season, but when he has played, he's been out wide and he's been kind of making that out to in run, putting it on a plate for Sterling and working really hard in wide areas, protecting the fullbacks, doing a really selfless job. And I do think the quality in front of goal is there as well. Paul Sorin says, I hope Arteta would be man enough to resign if he doesn't get what he wants this summer. I really respect him and his values. He needs to be honest with the fans. AFC must always be about the fans, not KSE. Project Frequency says, Arteta out, but who in? A conversation for another day, but just very quickly, is there a manager off the tip of your tongue that you're kind of always keeping an eye on?
Simeone.
Interesting. Eros, according to reports, FC, that is very much what we are. Eros, so it just reminds me of when Cecil called Eric Eric.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Benny with a super chat says, Turner over Leno, I'll bang this drum all summer long. Benny is the American fan, am I right? Yeah. Fair enough. Oh, that's exciting. Shress says, big clubs have Nunez and Haaland. We just failed to get big striker in the last 3 years. Vlahovic and Locatelli used us to get their deals. Why no top four, no top manager? Then I see crap deals or no deals and fans clapping crap fifth. Fits a lot into one super chat.
That's why sometimes it's hard to maneuver around the comment. But
it reminds me of a David Ornstein tweet. Just like, here's the punchline, here's the important stuff.
The character limit.
Thank you for your super chat, Stress. Alexander says, I'm turning 29 next week. I went to all the Highbury games. Our fans these days are complacent. Fifth is seen as an achievement. Never stop the pressure. It's so funny how contrasting the comments and super chats can be. In one video I can be called, I didn't read it out, but earlier, I'm not joking, it's kind of back-to-back comments. One said, James is the problem with this fan base. And then the next after was, James hit the nail on the head. Like, there's such contrasting views on the ownership. Do we panic about this transfer window? Is Arteta the guy? Has he just not had the resources? Are the players good enough? Are they not good enough? And that's never a good sign. You want most people to be on a very similar trajectory and understanding what the club needs. And it does feel like the fan base is so split. Granit Xhaka, is he good enough to start in midfield? Yeah. Or is he shit? I don't think that, but that is what people say. Like, they go, and I don't like using that word. I think it's borderline, it's not nice, but I'm trying to illustrate the ends of the spectrum. Is he a top midfielder who performed the way he did? He's amazing, what he did against France. And the answer is he's neither. He's a good player. But he's probably not what we need. He's probably not the answer. But I don't know.
I wouldn't even say good, but you're right about everything else.
Yeah, fair enough. But there's such opposite opinions on so many things when it comes to Arsenal. Oz says over 197 million net transfer loss between Ozil, Mkhitaryan, Aubameyang, Lacazette. Guendouzi, Mavropanos thrown away for peanuts. Mavropanos is another one.
Yeah.
Refused sales for Maitland-Niles, Xhaka and Eddie. This club is an absolute shambles. I thought that's a great super chat from Oz. I do think he's made some great points there. Rye2596 says, Arteta being angry with the Cronkies and feeling like they've blown this summer transfer window when it only opened up Friday and finishes come September 1st makes me very worried. Yeah, interesting to see how much truth there is in that report. But it was interesting to hear that supposedly he's not very happy at the moment, Arteta. Shress says, false promises, get excited, plans to improve fans' participation, add seats at the Emirates, improve culture, manage to lose talent without replacement. I think he's just addressing some of the kind of key words we've been hearing recently. Smoky Setting says, yo, Turkish, Arsenal should look at Martin Terrier from Rennes. He scored 21 goals last year and Liverpool want him. He's fairly cheap. Yeah, I think he's the guy I've been hearing a lot of people on Twitter talk about. Stricto says, as bad as the Cronkies are, the football guys who run the club are criminals. Our net profits is run like charity.
Who hires them, my guy? Who hires them? We said the same thing about Gazidis and them lot. We've been saying the same thing for years. Raul, let's not forget how he went out. Who hires these people? It comes back down to the same people. And they don't seem to care that their club or their business is being run in a way that's declining revenue, causing a decline in level of competition from Champions League downwards. They just don't seem to care. If they cared, then we would have done a lot more to get back to where we was underneath them. Right now, it seems that what they're doing is getting us used to where we are. Rather than trying to fight back to where we need to get to, it's like they've looked at the surroundings, they've said, we are where we are, bring the wages down, go for players in and around this remit, and if we get top four, we get top four. Happy days. It makes more sense to me now than them really trying to 4-year, 3-year process, getting us back to, how do they know what Chelsea's going to do? How do they know Newcastle's not going to be taken over? How do they know Man United ain't going to fix up and sort themselves out? How do they know Tottenham ain't going to show ambition? They're relying on all these things that have nothing to do with them, and us fans are accepting a process that apparently is going to take years. When any one of these clubs can come midway through that process and do one thing that puts them above us again. What kind of a process is that?
Yeah. Rye with Super Chat says, if Arteta got any pride about himself as a man, and if it's true that KSC aren't trying to back him, then just shows USA investments is all they care about. Yeah, we'll pretty much round it off there. There was a quote from Guendouzi that went round, I think today, or was it yesterday? I think it was today, about William Saliba, who obviously has pledged his immediate future to Arsenal, and what he said in French media recently. Guendouzi has completed his move to Marseille from Arsenal. Yep. Guendouzi said, William has now has Marseille in his heart, and I'm sure that he will come back to Marseille next season, so I'm going to try and push again for him to stay with us. I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with what he's saying at all, actually, but I just think,
as an Arsenal fan, they're going to think straight away, forget this guy.
Yeah.
But the reality is they're friends.
Yeah.
And he wants to play with his friend again. And if anything, the club's at fault for sending them both out on loan to the same club. Stupid move. But hey, luckily, Saliba's back.
Yeah.
Let's hope he signs a new contract and we forget about it.
Lezedi with Super Chats come in last minute, says, how about Guedes as a player to challenge Saka? I like him a lot. I don't know what his situation is. I imagine, is he still at Valencia? I imagine it will cost quite a bit of money. Paul with another Super Chat says, has anyone seen AFC long-term strategy? Like any business, you have to show your business plan, including a strategy. What's Arsenal's strategy? What are the KPIs? Do we know as fans? Turkish James, what do you think? He's asking.
We listen. Who's that? Paul?
Yeah,
Paul. We will never know for a fact what it is. Yeah, but as soon as you asked that question and I read it, and then as James is reading it out, I cast my mind back to Van Persie asking the club for the same thing. What is the objectives? What is the ambition? How are we going to get there? What are the plans? And he was shown figures. So that's the last example I have of this club and their objective and targets being around commercial success more so than it is about success on the pitch. And a lot of the moves done since have kind of fed into what Van Persie said. So until that starts changing, our long-term strategy is make it seem like everything is okay when everything is not okay. They're more focused on making it seem like things are running well than actually making it run well. 100% facts. Arsenal, the people inside the club, they're more focused on tricking us, blindfolding us, than they are, giving us something to be wide-eyed about. So, Paul, there's no answer to that question. Our long-term strategy is continue messing about with the fans as long as possible, whilst Kroenke keeps on sucking the club dry.
Let's round up the news. Starting with sort of a lot of the transfer stuff. So it looks like Leno to Fulham could be on, but as his agent said, there are other
hopefully we get
players
signed
involved. Yeah, you'd think 10 to 15 million, surely.
You'd think.
Although it is Arsenal selling this player. Torreira bid incredibly low from Fiorentina. Arsenal have basically said absolutely no way, so I imagine they'll come back with another. Guendouzi's had his say on Saliba, says he wants him back at Marseille next year. We didn't really touch on this, but Rafinha and Bowen were linked over the weekend. I know Robbie's talked about it. It might be something we talk about a little bit more during the week. The headline news from earlier today was Vlahovic's quotes saying, and I reiterate, maybe my agent knows, but I never talked to anyone about it. This is in reference to Arsenal's supposed offer in January. Now, Aaron sent in a comment not long ago making a point that there were some reports saying that Vlahovic wasn't picking up Arsenal's calls and wasn't prepared to talk, but he would surely know. He would surely know there was an offer. There's a difference between I'm not willing to hear what you have to say and what the contract offer is and be sold a project, and I don't know about an offer or anything. So that's where it gets slightly muddied waters, because I have more respect for Arsenal if they tried and he went, no, we're not interested. And it's like, okay, well, what can you do then? Rather than saying they tried and the player going, did they? I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, where Arsenal fans, I think, are right to ask a question personally. But
it's in the past. Yeah. It's in the past. Forget about it, James. Forget about it. Oh, we signed Marquinhos an hour ago. That's the past, mate. Forget about it. Forget about it.
That was my final bit of news. That Marquinhos has signed. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see what we do with this guy. 19 years old, is going to go on pre-season tour. He's going to train with the first teams. Well, we don't know if he's going on pre-season tour, but is going to be involved in pre-season training with the team. I think he'll go to Orlando. There tends to be a few youngsters that go out there. Maybe some of those we've seen on the bench, like Hutchinson, Salahadin, have I got his name right?
Flores and that, but
yeah, they'll probably get some game time.
We're an under-23 side now.
It'll be interesting to see how Marquinhos does then. But I will say, away from everything Arsenal do need to do, I am happy that they've brought in, that they're bringing in young players with potential. But if you could just add the experience in the first 11 and add that depth to the squad that can compete week in, week out in the Premier League at the level we want them to, and then you bring in your 19-year-old youngster, that excites you. Go, wow. You can see he doesn't play every week, but you know what? 20 minutes in the league here and there, he looks a player.
Yep.
And that's where I feel for players like Saka, Smith Rowe and Martinelli, is that they've been made the main guys when it's far too early for them to be. So let's hope Arsenal get the other bit of business done.
And I've just checked Instagram and I've just checked Twitter. I haven't got a DM yet. So, Dave, if you're not on it, send a super chat and let me know.
Thank you for your support, guys. Really, really appreciate it. Oh, we've got another super chat. Apologies, where have we got it? Oh, Shreth says, our player culture is... I want to end on a positive, Shreth. He says, our player culture is crap. Number one, crap players like Eddie get 100k and get retained. 2, we lose talented guys easily. 3, players treat us like Fashion FC, no ambition. That's Shreth's final thoughts. Yeah. Anyway. We've got merchandise.
Yeah.
I know merchandise, not here.
No, it's not Arsenal.
No, it's not. But we have got some really great T-shirts selling on the AFTV store. Sorry, do you know the details? I'm so useless.
I'm actually wearing one now, actually.
Yeah.
Tommy Asu's one there.
Do you know what? I absolutely love that one.
Yeah, I
absolutely love that one. I've got the Air Ramsdale one. I think the link's in the description below, guys. Check it out. It's all on screen. Look at that. Use code GUNA20 for 20% off all AFTV. All AFTV merch. You can tell it's my first time promoting it. But no, honestly, I've got this Air Ramsdale T-shirt, which I love. There's hoodies, there's T-shirts, there's all sorts. Go check it out. What's that? I'm getting... Oh, it's all before Father's Day. Oh, yeah. The perfect gift for Father's Day. There we go. I'm going to go rehearse this for our next show.
Next show, you're going to see James full-blown advert. Just
you'll never see me on AFTV
like them Thai
again.
Manscaped ones.
No, but honestly, they're great. I've got quite a few. I've got the, I love the 08 Odegaard one. I love that one. I've got the air rounds.
The Henry one's the best one.
The Henry one's nice. You got the Aubameyang Henry one as well with the 2 celebrations back to back.
Oh yeah.
It's cool. Go check it out, guys. I think Cecil was asked in the gym the other day where he got his from. So there you go, guys. Do go check it out. It's I know it's AFTV stuff, but I mean it's genuinely great collections. So go have a little look. All right, we'll round it off there. Turkish. Thank you. I think you got a lot off your chest there today.
Yeah, some.
But I'm going to give you credit where maybe others are being critical, calling you account or whatever. I'm going to give you credit. You said months ago to me, I don't think we were in for Vlahovic. And every bit of news and information that's dropped since, whether it be interviews, whether it be from other senior officials at Arsenal, through the media, whatever, it's only supporting the fact that actually this was never as on as it was made out. And I think Arsenal fans have a right to know that and discuss that and wonder why that was the case then.
Yeah, but you know what it is? Again, I'm going to say I don't want credit and I don't want, I don't want to be right.
No,
I just want people to listen, learn, read between the lines, think a bit logically rather than getting lost in these dreams and processes and all of that. Because that's why the fans have been dragged through the mud for as long as we have been. Because at times we hope for the best blindly, and we just don't want to face the reality and face the facts. That again, yes, it's only the start of the window, but a team that finished 2 points above us and pipped us to top 4 have signed one player and advanced talks with another player, and those 2 players occupy positions that are vital for Antonio Conte, fullbacks.
Yeah.
Can't wait, be patient, it's in the past, all of this shit.
Fair enough. Arsenal better get moving this transfer window, and we do need to, because it's not going to be long till we're back in pre-season and we're back looking ahead at the start of a new season. It will fly by, so let's get these deals done. Tielemans and Jesus look the closest. Get them done, and then we can move on to the other targets, and there's still 2 or 3 big ones we need to do. All right, guys, a big thank you. Smash a like on this video if you enjoyed it. We'll be back with more content tomorrow, obviously Transfer Daily, other content coming out throughout the week. You've got your Invincibles podcast, Talk is Cheap, all of that. I really need to round off this stream. Let's just end it there. Big thanks, like, subscribe, all that. Cheers.
Love for the love, people.